Behold my wonderful creation. Hey, I know that in last video I said that we will start moving enclosures from this shelf into that room and preparing that room for the transition, you know, to move all of this over there. But then I remember that there is still one more rehouse that I want to do before we do that. So if you remember, you probably do. This was the first deep fossorial enclosure that I built, and inside I had what's the name? Pelenobius muticus, the king baboon tarantula. But unfortunately, that tarantula was male that matured, so I sold him when I was in Italy on the expo. Hopefully by now he did some sweet hubba time. But anyhow, I have now this enclosure that is empty, and I was thinking about using it as deep fossorial, but then I was like, no, I want to do something else. I actually want to make a tall arboreal enclosure, so only small amount of substrate on the bottom, so complete 180 from what it was used to. But in the current form it would be super unpractical because only this small top section is the door, the entrance, so everything would be super unpractical to use. So therefore I'm going to convert it to make an arboreal enclosure out of it, and the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to detach this bottom front panel and make it a door, so move it up. And on the bottom I will actually use the door panel as a front bottom panel. The length of the panels will not be ideal because bottom panel is a bit longer than the door panel, but it will work out. And inside I will put a poecilotheria metallica cat, you know. What I'm really curious is to see if on which height the tarantula will spend majority of her time. Will it be exclusively on the top or it will be somewhere in between? I don't know. I never had a tall enclosure like this one, so it will be interesting to see. So first thing that we need to do, we need to detach this panel, and I will do it simply by using the scalpel. So I'll just run it in between the two panels, and this way I'm cutting the silicone that is holding the door panel. One side down, same thing for the other side, just like that, and now the bottom side. This is an easy job, as you can see, but cleaning the panel and the edge from the silicone will be a bit harder because I need to be super thorough with it. A fresh silicone won't adhere to the old silicone, so therefore it needs to be removed, otherwise everything will just fall apart. So I'm going to start with that. Thankfully I didn't use a lot of silicone, so that will make my life a bit easier. And now I'm thinking that there is probably some easier way of doing this. There's probably some sort of like specialized liquid that melts the silicone or something like that, but yeah, I was just forced to scrape with my scalpel until it was all right-ish, you know. Okay. I'm ready for some siliconing and gluing. As you know, I have this black glue that is for connecting plastic parts to the glass, and then I use transparent silicone for aquariums to connect the glass. First I'm gluing the door. With the door glued, we can move to a front panel, a bottom front panel. There is a specific way I'm gluing this front panel, and in case you don't really know how but you are interested in, there will be linked a video in the description or in top comments showing you how to assemble a dark den enclosure, and of course you can get these plastic parts on the web shop, so you can actually build the dark den enclosure by yourself. Okay, now this front ventilation that keeps the door in the same time. Bim bam boom, and now the door. Actually, no. First I need to apply the glue here on top, so I can also mount the top hinge, you know. Now to install the door. Oh my god. Attempt number 2. There we go. Now we need to make a background, but of course this needs to cure. So whoa, here we go. The enclosure is dry and ready for the use. As you can see, this is how the door works flawlessly. And now inside we have this super tall area, but we need a background, as every proper enclosure needs, and it is right here. I already carved it. It is made out of styrofoam as always, and as you see, I didn't have a piece long enough, so I had to combine 2 of styrofoam boards, but the silicone will cover everything. Now I need to cover everything with aquarium silicone, black one, and then we cover it with the dry substrate. And the reason why I'm no longer covering the styrofoam with glue for tiles first is because even with that, with added protection, some tarantulas still manage to nibble on the sides. So new tactic is to have the bottom part of the background super rounded, and that way I'm kind of preventing that, because every time tarantula would nibble on the background, it would always start on the top of the background where there is some sort of edge. So yeah, I'm trying it like this now. Alright, the background is complete, as you can see, but of course it needs to cure. So let's do one final time jump, and here it is, the Tower of Amazingness. The background turned out to be looking really good, more or less, you see. You can actually spot the connection in between the panels, but I'm not really bothered by it. Anyhow, I thought that I will set up the enclosure now. As I said, this was supposed to be the last time jump, but then I remembered, wait. This is a really tall enclosure and I need to set up the cork bark in a way that it is using that height. So what I was thinking, I have this long piece of cork bark, and from this side it is open, you see. So the idea is to put it like this. When you're looking at it like this, it is closed, but then when you go on the side, we will actually be able to see the tarantula. That is in case we have an egg sac or cat is molting. So having a way to see inside will be super useful, because I plan to glue it to the background, you know. Because cork bark that is this long, the substrate couldn't really hold it well, so I definitely need to glue it. So that's why we will need to do another time jump. Just a minor setback. Let me put down the enclosure, which is actually not that easy, you know. I don't really think that I mentioned what are the dimensions of the enclosure. They are 60 times 20 times 20. So pretty tall enclosure. I need something to hold the door, like this. Now let's figure this out. The cork bark will definitely go like this, so I just need to glue this side and maybe a little bit on the bottom. Easy peasy. A little bit here, a dab of here, and a dab of here, if I'm correct. And if you are thinking this would be way easier with expanding foam, yes, but for some reason my expanding foam gun does not work anymore, so I really don't know what is up with it. I need to get a new gun. A little bit of here and a little bit of here. And once again, apply the dry dirt. Here, here, and over there. Now this for sure is last time jump, and let me show you the result. It is looking pretty sweet, right? You see, these are the spots where I silicone the cork bark, and they are no longer visible, except this black blob that is visible from the inside, I mean from the side, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, now we do standard process of enclosure building, which is adding clay balls for the drainage layer, just like that. Now a mesh to separate the balls from the substrate. It sounds kind of funny, right? Now we add a bunch of substrate, a bit more than I usually add into an arboreal enclosure, because I want to reach the bottom of this cork bark. And I want substrate to go inside, because tarantula will then use that substrate together with her web to close off these gaps. You see, this hole and this hole. I mean, it is not a guarantee that tarantula will do that, but it definitely increases the chances, and the enclosure will look better if she does web curtains like that. There is also a significant hole on this side. All of this is hole, so I expect that she will also close that off. Now here I have an old enclosure, you see. I used to have a poecilotheria species subfusca, I think it's subfusca. Anyhow, she got a new owner, so now I can take this plant out of her old enclosure and put it inside of this one. And it is this species. I think it's some sort of begonia, but I'm not 100% certain, so we are going to take it out and put it inside. But the reason why I chose this species is because you see how long it grows, I mean how tall it gets, so it will be awesome for this enclosure, because I'm hoping that it will cover it all the way to the top. That would be awesome, but we are going to see if that will happen. So I'll just pull it out of this one and put it inside of this enclosure. It is a simple transplantation, but I'm thinking, what should I do with these branches? I'm hoping if I put them like this, that leaves will be able to turn to the right side and correct themselves. Plants can do that easily, but I'm not sure if this is too severe to do, you know? You see how on this branch all the leaves are facing the other side, and I'm not sure if these will flip for sure. If these will be able to flip, I don't know, we are going to see. But this plant fills up the enclosure so good, so good. This will definitely be a unique enclosure because of this. Of course, let's not forget the super important leaf litter. You see how it improves the enclosure. Now the most important thing, sand for the texture. This one, you see, we just spread it around to create an awesome texture. Voila! Will this ever get old? I hope not, because the result is superb, you see. Especially once the plant turns its leaves. Ooh, yeah. I need to water the plant and then we can get Cat and put her inside. Plant is really thirsty because it was in the open enclosure. I mean, the plant was in the open enclosure because the enclosure doesn't have the door, so therefore it was not an intentional design but an accident. Anyhow, here is Cat and she's outside as usual, being beautiful as always, you see? Cat, I think it's time. It is definitely time for you to get something prettier and something better looking than this old enclosure. Are you ready? Because I certainly am and all of you are, right? Yeah, let's get it. Behind her are the remains of her last meal. You know, in last feeding video we fed her a big hissa roach and that is all that is left after that roach. Who? Oh. So she's definitely not hungry, but is she mad? No, not that much. So let me just take you on a walk to your brand new enclosure. Look at this, huh? I built all of that just for you. Ooh, a lot of room for the activities. Go and explore the enclosure, please. No, don't go back to your old enclosure. You can go up basically forever. Almost double than she had in her previous enclosure. I mean, the standard enclosure. This is standard size for Arboreal adult pokey. And I just noticed new plant is sprouting here. Excellent. Which means this enclosure will be even lusher in no time. Gonna love that. Now, I would like to wait a bit to see if she will start exploring the enclosure. Yeah, I will give her some time before I end this video. Honestly, I was expecting much more exploration, but oh well. She decided that self-cleaning is far more important than figure out where the hell she is. I mean, she went up and then down, and that gave her enough confidence to just clean herself in the middle of unknown environment. Hilarious thing. Anyhow, girl, enjoy your enclosure, and I'm really looking forward to see how she will use it. Will she spend more time down near the substrate, or will she move up? Or maybe once she figures out the cork bark, she'll just hide all the time. Who knows? We are going to find out in the next couple of months. So next video will be moving all of these enclosures behind me that you can no longer see. It is 8 p.m. It passed 8 p.m. so they turned off, but we are going to move all of them into that enclosure, that other room, and I think that I will move the table, but I'm not 100% sure about that because that's a lot of work. Maybe too much work for a single video, but we are going to figure it out. Anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs it up and comment something. If you want to support this channel more, there's a Patreon page and also a webshop page. If you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. Upload on Monday, sometimes a live stream on Sunday. So see you again really soon. Bye.